Welcome back, my friends. It's Greg from the Sampleist once again. Today we're diving into something truly unique from one of my favourite young developers, Cello Textures Evolved by Ben Osterhouse. This virtual instrument reimagines the cello, offering a palette of complementary articulations designed to be layered together, creating unique gestures and splashes of colour for your music. Cello Textures Evolved is available for $49 US, but please note this product requires the full version of Contact 7.10.7 or higher and is not compatible with the free Contact player. Ben is a creative force in virtual instruments, always pushing the boundaries of what a cello can do. And with Cello Textures Evolved, he's revisited one of his original products, Cello Textures, to totally redesign it. It now has a sleeker UI design and way more controls and effects. A big thank you to Ben for making this library available for review. However, just to be clear, this video is 100% independent and made without any input from Ben, so you're getting honest, unfiltered thoughts. Stick around because I'll show you some of the coolest presets plus a demo of what this instrument can do. If you like what you see, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more virtual instrument reviews. Let's dive right on in. Alrighty, here we are. I've loaded up Cello Textures Evolved into Contact. I've got Contact 8, which is immaterial for today's demo. It's actually compatible from Contact 7 and upwards, obviously. So what I will do today, I'll give you an introductory overview about how the instrument all hangs together and its primary principles. I won't go into too much detail because I can always direct you to Ben's own video on YouTube. He'll give you all the details you'll need. Okay, so it's all about the textures and the evolving colors as opposed to a faithful reproduction of a cello. Now that's true to form for Ben because Ben loves to take the cello, his instrument of choice, into brave new territory, and this is certainly one of those instruments. The main grid you see before you is like a matrix, if you like. There are 3 rows and 4 columns. The 4 columns are bite, accent, fast swell, and slow swell. So think of them as staccato. So bite is a short, sharp sound. Accent has a bit of an accent at the start, a fast swell and a slow swell. And then down the side, the rows, clouds, wires, and soil are Ben's interpretation of what you might consider clouds is the harmonics. So very high register and whispery feel. Wires is towards the back of the sul pont region where the bow strikes the strings towards the bridge, and the soil is like normal, if you like, a bow crossing over the sound hole of the instrument itself, the cello. So let me demonstrate very briefly. I'll choose the soil texture, or timbre perhaps is a better word for it. If I choose the bite column, I get a very short. I said earlier that it was more staccato. I think it's probably more akin to a staccatissimo, but its cousin next door in the accent column is more of a staccato, still a short but slightly elongated. And its cousin being a fast swell. Beautiful, and similarly to round it out, the slow swell, as the name suggests. A lot longer in its swell and decline. To give you a little flavour of the wires, as I said, on the saltasto side, so very edgy and harsh sounding, you have this kind of thing with the bite. Truly very bitey. And likewise at the other end with this slow swell, it get this. Very harsh in its tone, and maybe the clouds, to give you a flavour, it's fast swell. You'll notice that it's in the higher register. So to point out about how Ben's recorded it, as I understand from his video, that each of these articulations, if you will, when you select on them, will show potentially a different range. So with the clouds, because they're more at the harmonic end of the spectrum, they're up the keyboard, and you hear, as seen here by the blue. Now, I will point out that the blue keys represent all the sampled regions, or the samples that Ben has done for that particular articulation. The purple keys are the lowest note for each sample region, just stretched out in either direction, obviously down low to the left and up high to the right. But if you look at, for example, fast swell, the range is lower, more accessible, so you get the traditional very low C on a cello. So the principle at play here is that you can choose any of these options to mix and match. So you can start with a cloud bite, but I've also included there a wires loop, and then I can click a soil, and you'll see that each of them are highlighted, indicating that they're selected, and they will play simultaneously. All right, so that's the principle. Now, what you can also do is when you highlight a particular cell, you have a number of options. You can set to loop. So I've just been playing the straight sample, but when it's looped, let me just deselect these ones, the loop. So I'm just holding down the key and it's dutifully looping around. You can reverse it, or indeed the double arrow loops back and forth. And Ben's introduced us into a little bit inside his world a little bit, because he's also given us the option to create windows around each of these samples, so you can bite into the sample and out while looping. You can move it down here a bit if you like. You can use this slider down here to indicate the start of the sample. So what it means you can do, now we can throw in some delay and some reverb. Now the frame below here is a number of ways to color the different textures, and each time you select a texture, then you get to uniquely change the parameters for that particular texture. So for example, we can do some more sends and delays here, some high pass. For this one over here, we can change the dynamics. We can transpose the pitch down somewhat. We can add the envelope up. This particular sample or texture, beg your pardon, we can pan to the left, but this one here, I want to pan to the right. Now that was very random. I got no idea what this is all going to sound like, but okay, so that gives you the idea. Change the reverb up as well. So the idea is you've got a whole palette of textures that can be colored in various numbers of ways. So let me go back and reset, and I'm just going to use a quick load here to reset back to the init patch. And let's start again and we'll try something. Okay, so there's an envelope. I'm going to loop that into reverse. I'll add the fast swell, a slow swell on the wires, and a bit of depth and resonance with soil. But again, I'm going to loop them as I am with these ones to give hopefully something of a sustain. I've selected these ones so I can change the sends and the reverb, add a bit of low pass and high pass, add the effects in this case on the preamp, the envelope. I've got no idea. Let's see what this comes out like. You get the idea. But Ben also allows you to go into the realm of some serious sound design by giving you a modulators tab and a shaping tab, as well as some space. So the modulators are where you can set a series of LFOs to modify a number of destinations. So with the envelope settings, with the traditional attack, decay, sustain and release, you can modify the volume in one direction, the panning, the saturation in accordance with your envelope settings. Similarly, you can do that with the LFO over here. So choosing your LFO, you can draw whatever LFO you would like to put in place, or you can choose the traditional sine and triangle, etc. Let's go for a sine. You can vary the panning. We won't touch the tuning, saturation, high pass and low pass filters. And similarly, you can also use the mod wheel to vary some of the parameters using the mod wheel. So let me just see what this sounds like. And with all them in place, now the frequency is quite high. That's why you get that wobbling effect, because I'm using a pan. So let's see. Similarly, some shaping is where you can add some compression emulation. So the little eye to the left gives you some information that pops up, tells you how to use what you're using on that page. The compression, some EQ, let's add some low end gain. Let's pull down on the highs a little bit, change the frequency options, maybe pull right back on the mids. And in the space, these are all global parameters, by the way. You can change the delay, the decay on your reverb, adding a high and a low cut on the delay. How about a ping pong delay? Brilliant possibilities. Again, that was highly random and it turned out all right. But there is another cool feature you can use. Ben has given you plenty of randomization options throughout this instrument, which really does take this set of cello samples and just stretches them into all manner of different directions, and you can end up with some amazing ideas. The one I love doing, if you really want to go crazy, you can click on the actual title screen and it will randomly generate across all the different options you have here. I'm just going to return momentarily to the textures. So it can be quite chaotic, but that's half the fun of it. Awesome. Where are we going to go next? One more time, perhaps? That's so random, I don't think anything's come through. Let's try another one. Maybe one more. Well, okay, so you get the idea. When you can manipulate the modulators and the randomization through the shaping and the space and the various textures, changing the loop parameters, there is really a multi-dimensional aspect to this tool. And I'm sure you agree that you can take this from a warm, rich, traditional cello sound, but also make it sound like a synthesizer out of a science fiction movie. Very, very cool. But for all the noodling that I can manifest by randomly pressing different textures and parameters, even if I had a controlled outlet, Ben knows his instrument far better than I do. So let's have a look at the set of presets that comes with it. Now I've just chosen to use a quick load function, but Ben has given us 1, 2, 3, 4 categories. There's the Chaos Lab, which probably says it all. There's the gestural textures, some rhythmic textures, and sustains. So let me turn the microphone off and I'll play a couple from each of these categories to give you a taste and flavor for what each of them can do. Ben really shows off his sound design skills here, and they sound beautiful and warm. Let's have a listen. Can you hear those textures, those almost synth-like textures come through? Absolutely gorgeous. How about some examples of them, the gestural category? Ascension. Or maybe blat. Maybe chopper. That's an interesting one too. I suspect there's some, there's a volume modulator going on here, giving that wobble effect, and the high pass filter as well. Really interesting stuff. All right, Ben, what else have you got for us? I'm going to have a look at some rhythmics, always really good to have on board. This one's called Chromium. That's gorgeous. That's really, really nice. Pine Needles by random selection. Ben has come up with Can anyone hear a cello in that? I don't think so, and this is the beauty of this. And finally, some Chaos Labs. Detune texture. Wow, I can almost hear it before I've even loaded it up. Creating a bit of tension. Fake water, perhaps. Okay, we're getting some really weird territory now, Ben. I love it. Plan 9 from outer space, coming to take you away to their interplanetary destination. And giant steps. Well, yeah. Cool. I love it. It's got a whispery, woodwind-like feel to it. Okay, there's a quick walkthrough. The sound textures that Ben can pull together I really, really love. And it takes a while, I think, to get underneath the hood of this instrument if you want to really master some of the nuance. But it's time well spent because you'll be handsomely rewarded. Take some of his sounds as your initial starting point. Get a feel for what you want. Start tweaking them around. You'll have an absolute ball. Okay, now it's time for me to try and put this little baby to the test. I'm going to put it under the spotlight and show you a composition that I wrote using Cello Textures Evolved. So to help set this up a little bit, I have used Cello Textures exclusively, bar one exception, and I've borrowed another one of Ben's awesome products, that being the rippled cello, to add a little bit of movement. You'll see that when it comes up on the screen. You'll hear that lovely looping flavor that complements, I hope, the cello textures on this particular track. Let's head on over there now, and when I'm done there, I'll wrap up today's video and give you my final thoughts. So now to my final thoughts. As I've said in other reviews of Ben's virtual instruments, I reckon Ben is one to watch out for. We need young creative musical forces in the virtual instrument space, and Ben is definitely that in spades. What I love about Ben's approach to his instruments, and Cello Textures Evolved in particular, is his willingness to take risks. He has clearly honed many hours of sampling and sound design skills to give you a tool that dares to go where others fear to tread. This is not another straight-out-of-the-box cello library. The world is awash with those. Ben holds out to you an offering, if you dare, to take his sampled cello and use it to create otherworldly possibilities. There were more than one occasion where I could imagine scenes invoking loss and distant coolness, others a pulsing rhythm of an overland desert journey, and then something out of a schlock 1960s sci-fi movie. But be playfully warned, it is one of those tools that gives you just enough rope to hang yourself, but for those who want more creative outlets for a cello or a cello-inspired synth, then you're going to enjoy this. And if you prefer to trust Ben's judgment, then there's a rich set of well-crafted presets for you to use as a launchpad. And that wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed a brief tour of Ben Osterhouse's Cello Textures Evolved. If you did, show the channel some love by hitting the like button and let us know. And if you're new here, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you won't miss another great review from the world of virtual instruments. This is Greg signing off for the Sampleist. Hope to see you on the next one.